Hello and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities Podcast. I'm your host, Melvin the Crimson Taurus, and boy, do we have a special show for you tonight. Now, unfortunately, Nima can't be here, and our guest might be the reason as to why she can't be here. So, yeah, we're pointing fingers. You know how we do. Our guest tonight, though, is very respected among the occult community, and let's just say he does not do some Mickey Mouse hocus pocus. He is the real deal. His spell crafting and sorcery, from the creation of apocalyptic water to the use of radionics, as well as performing magic rituals such as the rite of, oh gosh, oh no,
Deification.
help me out here.
The rite of deification. That's like
Deification.
what I broke onto the scene with.
Thank you. The rite of deification. And the use of something called the master key. We'll get into that one. Please welcome the metaphysical mad scientist himself, Mr. JS Garrett.
Hey, thank you, sir. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for that polite introduction there.
Well,
And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, man. I love getting on and doing these podcasts. I love putting this stuff out there to the public, and it's a privilege for me just to get on and talk to somebody on this wavelength about these things, because it's not really an everyday normal type of conversation you can have with the guy next door. So most of the time, I'm having to pretend to be interested in fantasy football or whatever whatever my neighbor's into, whenever I really want to be talking about some hardcore black magic. So yeah, this would
yeah,
be
no,
fun.
I totally get it. I've met a lot of people from doing Unexplained now. They all say, for the most part, the same thing, that they can't really open up and be themselves too much. You get looks like, hey, what are you doing, Charlie? You know, just one of those things, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things, especially like if you live in the South, like in the Bible Belt, like I do,
Hmm.
then yeah, there might be one in every couple of thousand people that practice the same type of practice that I do. It's very rare. I was actually recognized for the first time in Walmart the other day, from somebody that knew me from YouTube and Facebook. It's never happened before. Like I said, I'm in the dead hillbilly inbred south of the Bible Belt, like right smack dab in the middle of fucking NASCAR country, where everybody's got rebel flags hanging in their yards and they're married to their sisters, you know. So I'm standing at Walmart wearing a shirt with the sigil of Abaddon on it, and somebody says, "Hey, I like your shirt. Is that Abaddon?" And I turn around and they're like, "Holy shit, are you JS Garrett?" I'm like, "Yeah." Who are you? And they're like, "No, I watch you on YouTube." I'm like, "Wow, dude, this is the first time that anybody in this area has recognized me."
Right on, man.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. But yeah, in my area, dude, like I don't really leave the house much. I've got my own private land here, where I can practice my craft and stay pretty secluded. And this is where I like to be, honestly. If I have to go to Walmart, it's a chore. So
No,
if I don't have to,
I understand. I'm a bit of a homebody myself, so I get it.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I mentioned that my co-host Nima, she couldn't make it tonight, and I'm pointing fingers at you. And the reason being is that you guys might hear my cat. She might make an appearance. The reason being is that she was doing research for the show and getting her notes together, and suddenly she started to get sick, and her tummy's just bleh, not cooperating. And I'm thinking it's because of the energy that might be around you that she is picking up on. Well, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, okay, so before we point a finger at me, because I'm happy to do so if it's my fault, but I will say that no one else has ever reported getting sick around me, or reading about me or researching me. Normally it's just the opposite, because I mean my main focus in practice is healing people. So I mean, What I think we should do in order to rule out whether or not it was me or a coincidence that she happened to get sick this evening is at a later date when she's feeling better, she and I should jump on and talk face to face about this and see how she feels after talking to me and making that personal contact, even if it's through a screen. And, if it happens again, then I would love to know why, and so you and I were talking a little bit before we got on air that, about the energies around a person, as well as making first initial contact with certain entities, certain spiritual forces, that a lot of times when you make first contact with them, you will get migraines, you might run a fever or feel nauseous, symptoms like that from the overwhelming influx of energy that you're not used to dealing with. And it's like your body takes a little bit of time to adjust to that. And then once you get past that and you align with those energies, then it empowers you instead of affects you in a negative way. So, I'd love to sit down and talk to her like we're talking now, face to face, like later on when she's feeling better. I truly hope that it has nothing to do with me, but if it does, then I think we should figure out why and what we can do to fix that.
Yeah, I'm sure she will be 100% up for that. And like I said, I know she's going to listen to this later. And so, Nima, this is past me speaking to future you. We're going to set it up. So get ready.
Cool.
But that is a weird, interesting thing, though, how energies work. And speaking of energies, you work with, I guess you could say, otherworldly beings or deities, gods. How is their energy when they come to you?
All right. So whenever I make first contact, like say an entity, a god, goddess, demon, angel, jinn, sprite, whatever you want to call it. We've all got different labels that we put on them. I don't know how much difference there is between each one of these categories, but whenever I make contact with a brand new entity, someone that I've never made contact with before, typically when I successfully evoke them, it will feel like a heavy blanket, like a blanket of electricity just comes straight down on top of me. My breathing gets heavy, the air gets thicker, you feel tingles going through your body, and I will typically feel an excruciating pain in some part of my head. The first time I made contact with Belial, the first spirit I ever summoned successfully, I had the most excruciating pain in the back of my head. When I made contact with Shimyaza, it was on the left side of my head. It was like this excruciating pain. I felt pressure build and build and build, and then you feel like it snap, and then the pain just radiates throughout your entire brain. And what I think that is doors opening. I think scientists have proved through examining our DNA that our DNA has been upgraded at least 36 times in the ancient past. And so it's my theory that humans used to be a lot more powerful than what we are now. I think that at some point our DNA was genetically manipulated in order to prevent us from accessing our true potential. Because if we all had godlike power, then we could not be enslaved. We could not be controlled, whether it's by other people or fucking aliens or whoever is ruling over this planet at this point in time. Whoever has been manipulating the DNA is probably whoever is ruling us from behind the scenes. And so we can't have too much power. So it only makes sense that they would put genetic blockages in our brains to keep us from using certain parts of our brains or using the entire brain all at once. Because if we could do that, we could do anything. We could regenerate ourselves. We could walk through walls. We could probably fly like Superman. We would all be like Neo from the Matrix. We would not be able to be controlled. So I think this was done intentionally. And so, if you look at it from the scientific perspective, like of the holographic universe, that the human brain is like this miniature model of the entire universe, and every spirit or deity that we know of, and even the ones we don't know of, are represented out in this universe by a star or a planet or something like that, they all have a representation inside here, inside of our brains. So whenever you successfully evoke Jupiter or successfully evoke Mars or Saturn or any other deity out there in the universe, you're activating that representation that is in your mind of that deity or planet or star. And so it switches it on. It breaks through the barrier that was preventing you from accessing that power, which is what gives us a headache most of the time. And you'll notice, like, after doing that, you start thinking differently, you start processing information differently, and you start noticing a big difference in your spell casting and your evocations, your meditations, things like that. So I mean, that's my understanding of what's going on. We are the microcosm and the universe is the macrocosm, and everything that exists out there also exists inside here. So everything is internal and external both at the same time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And going back to us being perhaps more powerful in the past than we are currently, the other day I was actually having a discussion with someone, and I mentioned how I think that us, we humans, used to be creators and gods, because I often wonder, where do our gods, goddesses come from? And what if we created them? And it's a weird sort of, the student has become the teacher sort of thing, because we seem to have regressed spiritually in a strange way. And we focus too much on I can't and the impossible, instead of willpower and willing something into existence. Because I do believe that plays a large part when it comes to magic and doing rituals. It's willpower and putting that energy out there and making it your own, claiming it, because it's already yours. You just need to claim it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And you know, if someone disputes what I'm saying about how our ancestors, our ancient ancestors, were much more advanced than we are, I mean, all you got to do is point at the Great Pyramid and say, how the fuck did we build that? Okay, like
You
there's
know,
we can't build that today. We
there
cannot build it today with our
I
technology.
I wish I could remember his name, and this is where I need a good friend of mine, because he loves this stuff. There was a guy who said that he learned the secrets of the pyramids and how they were made, and allegedly by himself he made his own type of temple or something.
The
Moving,
Coral Castle.
is that it? Is that
Coral Castle, yeah.
okay?
Um, Yeah, I can't remember his name. If you'd if you'd asked me off air, I probably could spit it right out.
Yeah,
But yeah, this was the guy that levitated these massive chunks of coral into place and built a castle by himself. And
yeah.
like yeah, like
So
these two little boys like snuck into his property and saw him holding two, like they described him looking like ice cream cones, and he would point the cones at the giant chunks of coral and lift them and levitate them into place. It was like some type of anti-gravity technology.
yeah, I mean, oh, if only. So clearly he was on to something, and unfortunately, I think we in the modern times we're too narrow-minded, we're too short-sighted, and it's I need to see it to believe it, instead of no, I need to imagine it and bring it into reality and create it.
Yeah.
So that's just what I think. I could be right, could be wrong. All good, doesn't
Yeah, I
matter.
think you're right. I think you're right. I think that okay. So we got magicians today, guys that are so far beyond anything that I've ever done or anybody that I know of's ever done. Like, I mean, for example, David Blaine. Like a lot of the stuff he does is not even magic. Like holding your breath underwater for 18 minutes. That's a superhuman feat. Bob Munden, the fastest gun that ever lived. He could draw a six-shooter, cock and shoot two times so fast that it sounded like one gunshot, and he would shoot at two balloons 50 yards away, and they would both pop at the same time. And he was actually declared a superhuman by the scientific community because they could give no explanation for how he could do what he could do. A lot of the stuff, I think a lot of the stuff like Chris Angel and Dynamo do is actual real magic, and they can get away with doing it in front of people because it's under the guise of an illusion, So whenever you see them levitate or disappear or do something crazy like that, people don't freak out because they know it's just a trick. Like, oh, they're somehow tricking us. But if they knew it was real, then they would freak out, So, I mean, I think that the powers that be have this knowledge that has been stolen from us and probably give it to a handful of people under the conditions that they don't ever share what they truly know or what they're truly doing with the public, because that keeps the inspiration and that keeps the belief in magic alive in the collective consciousness. And I think a big part of what these guys are doing to perform miracles relies on the power of the crowd, on the power of the people watching them. If you can put 1,000 people into a hypnotic trance and tell them, okay, now I'm going to levitate, and they all are staring at you, fully expecting you to levitate, then you're going to levitate.
Yeah, it's a collective conscience, and you're getting that energy.
Yes, that's what I think.
I agree with you. I totally can see that happening. And here we go. Oh, wait, what don't you see, Bonnie? I don't. Oh, the cursor. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Angie K, our lovely lady behind the scenes, she's like Wikipedia. She's already told us the person we're talking about. His name is Edward Led Scallinen. Ooh, what a name! I'll have to spell that.
That sounds correct.
Yeah, LeeDSKALNIN.
Okay.
So that's who it was. So thank you, Angie. Speaking of magic, so I noticed that you spell magic with a K, and I recall reading somewhere Aleister Crowley, he put a K in magic to separate it from illusionists, to let people know, like, this is real. I'm not pulling the wool over your eyes. I'm actually bending reality and bringing something into existence. Is that part of the reason why you use K, to separate it from the illusionary arts?
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever I tell someone, whenever someone reads magician, spelled like stage magician with a C and not a K, they think of an illusionist. They think of sleight of hand and trickery. No. What I'm doing is pure metaphysics. It's action at a distance through non-physical means. And since we don't really know how to explain how that works scientifically yet, it falls under the category of magic. And so I use the K to differentiate, just like Crowley did, to say, no, this is real magic, real sorcery, and it's not a trick, it's not an illusion. So yeah, that's why I use it also.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense to me. It's a good thing to separate so people don't get the wrong idea. You don't want to hear some, do hocus pocus, where's your magic wand? Go away.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mentioned that you work with different beings, Belial being one of them, Shimyaza being another, Archangel Raphael, I believe, and probably a few others somewhere around there. I am genuinely curious about this. So, do they come to you, or do you call on them?
Okay. Well, the answer is both. Years ago, it was about a decade ago, before, I've been experimenting with like spell casting and things like that since I was 10 years old. But, I did my first spell when I was 10 years old. I got results, but it wasn't the result that I wanted. So I said, screw this, and I walked away from it, and I kept coming back to it through my teenage years and my early adult years. I would dabble, I would experiment, and I would ultimately get frustrated with it and throw my hands up and say, screw this, and walk away from it. And so, I mean, it wasn't until one of them made contact with me that I really dove in head first. And so Shimyaza was the first being that I ever had significant contact with, and he absolutely contacted me and pulled me into this path working. And after that, my life totally flipped upside down. Like everything turned to chaos. And so then I was searching for the answer as to how I could fix my life. And so I knew that the supernatural was a real thing. It had obviously worked against me. So how could I figure out how to make it work for me? And so I started attempting to make contact myself. And I was facing some legal trouble as a result of this chaos. So I reached out to Belial because he is the one who can help you with legal matters. He has power over the legal system. He is the lawless one. So I started beginning to try to summon him, trying to evoke him. And it actually took me 3 days. It took me 3 days straight of calling him constantly before he answered me. But once he did answer me, and actually that was the first time I saw like a manifestation of an entity while I was awake and conscious. I made an agreement with him. I made a pact with him. And less than 24 hours later, that legal situation was gone. My charges were dropped less than 24 hours later. And so one of the things I asked him for was to take me under his dark wing and teach me the black arts himself, to forge me into a magician. And he's done exactly that. Less than a decade later, I'm the most frequently hired sorcerer on the planet that I know of. I stay booked out 6 to 8 weeks at a time, and this is what I do full time. I do ritual for hire. I teach people how to do this themselves. I film video courses that show people step by step. I work with people in person, and I do pro bono work for sick children that are dying of diseases and things like that. I take those cases on at no charge on my free time just to see if I can help them, because it's a pursuit of knowledge and I'm always trying to push the limits. And, I can't think of anything that is worth my time more than a dying child, So, that's what makes me feel good about this.
Okay. Speaking of Belial, I've mentioned this on the show before, so a couple of people who've listened, they're probably like, oh no, here he goes again. I actually felt his energy once, and I don't do any type of spell work or anything like that, but it was from a friend, and a lot of the beings, deities that they worked with decided to pay a visit to me to get the message to them. And Belial was interested because I know he showed up a couple of times, mostly just, I guess, being like, it was hits, and then that's it. But that night, it was very, very interesting. And this brings me to this, because you do work with quote unquote what we consider demons, and unfortunately, thanks to religions, possibly spreading the wrong type of information to scare people into joining their belief system or whatever, we see these beings, Belial or Azrael or Lucifer, we see them as the bad guy. And
yeah.
In your experience, is that the case? Are they actually some dark, evil thing that wants to devour your soul?
No, not at all. In my personal experience with these entities, no, I think they're the good guys, honestly. To me, they're heroes. They are the ones who stood up against tyranny and slavery. The Christian God, the we call the demiurge, some others call Yahweh. That's a God that rules you out of fear and guilt and tyranny. You must bow down. You must bow down and touch your head to the floor 5 times a day for Allah, or you will be destroyed and burn in hell. Like these gods like Lucifer, Belial, Satan, Shemyaza, they don't want you to bow down. They don't want you to get on your knees. They want you to stand in all of your glory and learn how to become a god yourself. They don't want you to worship them. They don't want your soul. The only people that want your soul are entities like the Christian God and the Muslim God. They deed your soul over to the Christian God at birth when they baptize you. That is, an occult ritual developed by the Catholic priesthood to deed a child's soul over to the Christian God against their will before, while they're still in diapers. If and not only that, but they chop the tips of the little boys' penises off too. Okay, so you tell me this: if if a bunch of evil Satanists, if the Church of Satan, were the ones to start chopping the tips of little boys' penises off when they were babies and deeding their soul over to Satan through a satanic baptism, do you think that would fly over very well?
Oh,
No,
no.
the whole world would be outraged. But because it's the Catholic and Jew and Muslim practices, it's okay for some reason. That's genital mutilation. That is the most evil, horrific thing you can do to a child and leave them alive. All right. And so my opinion is that these religious practices are the definition of evil. They are the ones that promote tyranny, slavery, genocide, and subjugation. Okay. Satan, Lucifer, Belial, Shemyaza, Astarte, they are the opposite of that. They are the force that opposes subjugation. They are the forces that oppose tyranny and slavery. And, Lucifer, Satan, Belial, they were the ones to stand up to these slave gods and say, we are not going to bow down and we are not going to be your slaves. And we revolt against any force that seeks to dominate and control us. And they teach mankind how to do the same thing. So in my opinion, the devil's greatest trick was not convincing man that he did not exist. The true devil's greatest trick was convincing man that he was God. And that would be the Christian God and the Muslim God, which are one and the same.
Yeah. So staying on this topic for a little bit, I don't want to get too carried on because I'm going to get a brick through my window. Um, so
Sorry,
I
if
do.
I got a little too personal there.
Oh
A
no,
little
not
too
at
long.
all. Look, this is unexplained possibilities. We're open about this stuff. I do have my own little belief about it, and oftentimes I wonder if we're going with. I always say Abrahamic God because it just covers everything.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was actually a changing of the guard, and I say that because we are evidently they smartened up. If you look at the Old Testament, for instance, not that I believe everything in the Bible, but as an example, it was fire, brimstone, you love me or you're dead. It's
Yep.
like, good Lord. you know, and then you look at the New Testament, oh, yes, love me, be peace, hippie-ish, like, come on, guys, which I just think is such a drastic change. And I often wonder, because we do hear that there was supposed to be some type of civil war in heaven or wherever they reside. And I do wonder if someone took over and got rid of old God and oops, my notes fell, and in their place was a new God who tried to do things slightly different, but the damage has already been done. And then of course you give it to man. I mean, if you tell a guy, like, we'll use the Pope for instance, sorry Catholics, but he's supposed to be the highest thing to God on this planet, which is like, come on, dude. I would say a newborn baby that's as pure as you can get on this planet.
I'll agree
Um,
with you on that. Yeah.
so you look at that and it's like, okay, so it's another form of control. Kill them through kindness, so to speak. What do you think about that? The possibility that there was a war and maybe old God was taken away and there was someone new put in his place.
Well, I mean, that's possible. I mean, and ultimately, we don't know. We're just a couple of guys speculating, looking throughout history at what's been written and said. That's very possible, but it still revolves around subjugation and living on your knees and submission and fear and guilt and fear of being cast into hell is what compels you to go to church every day and put money in the collection plate. And to me, that's not freedom. That's slavery.
Yeah. I
And
I
I
agree
think
with you.
government plays a big part in that too. Because if you think about it, the mainstream religion of every country whatever that might be, directly reflects, like the rules and principles and laws of that religion directly coincide and reflect the rules and principles and laws of that government body, the government that is forcing that religion down your throat. Okay. And so I honestly think that a lot of the religions have been twisted and custom tailored to convince us to worship that ruling body of government. And if you do that, then you ensnare 95% of the population, because those who do not fear being cast into hell fear being cast into prison for the rest of their life. And the other 5% who have no fear of either keep our prisons full. And a prison that is empty makes no money for the government, so they have to stay full. So I mean, it works out quite well. So I mean, what if the government bodies have taken the teachings of these ancient religions that were once a good thing and twisted them to their own narrative, their own agenda, in order to get us to subjugate and bow down and worship a deity that has been forged in the image of the government body. So we're feeding all of our spiritual power, all of our worship, and all of our money into a religion that is based on the government body, therefore making that government even more powerful on a spiritual level as well as on a financial level. And we're terrified of both. Like, it's nothing more in my eyes than a system of control, domination and control. Government and religion are not separate, they're one and the same. And Game of Thrones puts it best. They say that the crown and the faith are the two pillars that hold up the world, and if one crumbles, so does the other. Therefore, that is very true if you think about it. If government crumbles, so does religion. If religion crumbles, so does government. So therefore, they have a vested interest in keeping each other in power in order to keep us under their feet.
Yeah, and the best way to control someone is through fear and punishment.
Yes.
So yeah, totally agree. I could see that. I definitely could see that. But like all things, I don't think it's something that'll last forever. I do think people will eventually wisen up and, slowly but surely will start to change things, because we are seeing that more and more younger people, anyway, are moving away from organized religion, so to speak.
Yeah.
And speaking of organization, I was asked the other day, what is the left hand path? What is the right hand path? And to be totally honest, I have no freaking clue. Not really. I put it to him like this. I I look at it like Sith and Jedi. One might be a bit more chaotic and less organized, and the other might be more organized and less chaotic, but ultimately same exact force, just different ways of doing things. Um,
Yeah.
so, firstly, JS, do you consider yourself a part of any type of path?
No, if somebody asked me if you're a left hand or right hand path, I'd say I'm ambidextrous. You
Okay.
know, I work with both. If you're doing a ritual to heal somebody, then they'll say that's a right hand path type of ritual. If you're doing a ritual to bring yourself wealth or to bring about the death of an enemy, then they would say that's a left hand path practice. I think it's important to work with both hands, the one that gives and the one that takes, in order to be a well balanced practitioner. So I don't really put labels on myself. I am whatever the situation calls for me to be, and that's it.
Okay, kind of like Gumby. You can morph into whatever.
Totally
Oh
Gumby.
gosh, how old am I? A Gumby reference.
I remember Gumby. No, I remember Gumby.
Okay. Like I think it's maybe three people right now who knows Gumby.
They're like, who the fuck is Gumby? They're like doing that shit, and the picture of Gumby comes up, and they're totally stumped.
Yep. So, um, okay. So, in your words, though, what is the left hand path and what is the right hand path?
All right. Well, that's like saying what is the difference between black magic and white magic? All right. So, I mean, the way I understand it is that black magic is the use of metaphysical practices to create action or change at a distance through non-physical means for personal gain or benefit for yourself or for the personal gain or benefit of others. Whereas white magicians, they don't really do magic. They do ceremonial prayer. They still believe in a higher power and leave everything up to that higher power. So they get into ceremony and they pray to these higher powers, but they're not trying to force a change upon this reality because ultimately it lies in the hands of this supposed higher power. Therefore, any type of magic that you are using to create action at a distance or physical change and physical reality, whether it's healing someone or trying to kill someone, if it works, then it would fall under the category of black magic and the left-hand path because you're not leaving it up to a higher power. You are saying as yourself, as the master and commander of your own reality, that this is how it is, and I'm not okay with that. So I'm going to change that through my action and through my will. To me, that's the difference between right and left-hand path. But whenever we're talking about the public perception of right-hand path and left-hand path, if I'm trying to heal a sick child, they would say, oh, that's a white magic practice, or that's a right-hand practice because you're doing good for someone else. Well, no, healing a sick child is still a left-hand black magic practice because I'm saying that, okay, this person has been condemned to die through this disease and the doctors can't fix it. So I'm going to take action to fix it myself. If I can do so, then I have altered and changed reality in the course of this person's destiny. Therefore, I'm saying, God, that's not good enough. I'm going to take control and take responsibility for the outcome of this. And I'm going to push my will on this situation and make it what I want to be.
Okay. So, Sith and Jedi, basically, one, you might act more so for yourself, and the other one, you might act quote unquote more so for others by using a higher power, so to speak. But ultimately, I still think it's the same thing. Like, as someone who's looking at it from the outside in, personally, I don't get the labels. I think it's a lot of posers who like seeing themselves as one thing and not wanting to admit that they're a bit more like this, and it's just something that folks are comfortable with. But ultimately, everything is just one big jello to me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Spokes on a wheel, dude.
yeah.
It's all spokes on a wheel. And yeah, I mean, because we're having to we're kind of having to tiptoe around the public perception of what right and left hand path is here versus what it actually is. Okay, light and dark, they work together. Angels and demons work together very well.
Oh,
Okay,
I learned that firsthand, actually. Oddly enough, I don't know how true it is. Of course, you can get information, and you might be interpreting it wrong, of course. But from what I was recently found out, and not saying it's true or not, but one particular angel said that he has absolutely no problems with what we consider demonic entities at all, because he said that they just have a different way of doing things. I have my way, they have their way. And he went on to actually say that he does not like or particularly care about angels who are associated with the Yahweh deity. Um, and
yeah,
I don't know how true this is, but he even said that there are orders of angels. They all don't belong to that Abrahamic type um, group, I guess you could say. Some of them predate them, some
yeah,
of them come after them. And I just thought that was very, very interesting, especially when you look at who the Watchers are, because all of them were like, I don't know if they tore their wings off or if they just said, up yours, I'm leaving. Um, but all of them are now considered fallen angels or demons or whatever, which is ridiculous, because I don't think they're evil. Like, something that's evil does not try to help you. It just
No.
doesn't. It will. It just doesn't. I mean, it just doesn't. But you look at them and it's like, wow, you guys were all angels, or technically, I guess you are still angels. You just don't consider yourself this type or whatever. I forgot where I was going with this. Oh yes, now I remember. Um, yeah, I just agree. Things are not what they appear to be, and perception is everything, and assumptions need to just go out the window because,
Yeah.
like, just the world beyond is just so much more bigger and vast, and just because something might appear big, bad, scary, it isn't, and it's there for a reason to teach us, and it's up to us to open up and learn and listen. And that's a lesson that a lot of people, myself included, it's hard to learn. But yeah, it just hearing that from an angel though, saying, no, I have no problem with demons, I don't, no big deal at all, I don't really care for the other angels. It's like, oh wow, that's different. So
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, angel and demon, those are labels that we humans have put on these entities. All right. And so, the Christian religion, that's the new kid on the block. All right. That's like the newest religion in the world. It's only 2,000 years old. Where if you get into like the Mayan religions, the Zoroastrian religions, the Sumerian religions, they are much, much older than Christianity. And they were still working with these same deities that the Christian religion has labeled angels and demons. So it's like they took the ones that they wanted to take and adopted them into their pantheon and labeled them angels. And then they took the ones that they didn't want us to mess with that would actually teach us things and labeled them demons and made them out to be scary.
or to
All
take it
right.
a step
So,
further, lesser deity, like the Greek gods, for instance, some of the uh, quote unquote lesser deities, they would take them and demonize them,
yeah,
and it's a shame. It's truly a
it is.
shame.
It is a shame. And, what I find is that there's, the, I don't think there's some kind of cosmic war going on between angels and demons. All right. I will say that there might be some type of physical slash spiritual war going on for humanity between good and evil, which we perceive good as anything that helps us thrive and prosper, but anything that actually helps us thrive and prosper has now been labeled as evil. All right. And anything that keeps us enslaved is labeled as good. So I do think that there is some type of evil that has infiltrated humanity, that has turned us against ourselves, turned us against each other, different countries against each other, different races against each other, different religions against each other, to keep us constantly at war with one another. And I don't think angels and demons have anything to do with that. I think that this evil implement that has been injected into our reality is something that is foreign. It's something that should not be here. It is the serpent in the garden. It is like this foreign parasite that has come from another dimension or another universe or reality and has infected our world and turned everything upside down, so that what is right is wrong and what's wrong is now right. And it's all confusing, and it's all done to enslave us on every single level. I mean, you get up, you go to work, you fucking work all day, you come home, you eat dinner, you watch a little bit of TV, you get up, you go to work the next day, you pay your taxes, you come home, watch some TV, eat some dinner, and go to bed. And you do that every day until you catch some god-awful disease at age 60 and die before your 70th birthday. That is not all there is, people. That is not what we are here to do. We are not here to work slave jobs. We are not here to pump gas and bag groceries and work for the man and pay a shit ton of taxes and die before age 70. This is something that has been inflicted upon us. We are originally supposed to be here in this physical reality to experience physical life. Life is supposed to be a joy. It's supposed to be a privilege. It's supposed to be abundant. And because of this otherworldly parasitic force that seems to have taken over our world, it has completely been turned into the opposite of that, where we are not supposed to seek out personal power. Anyone who seeks power is wrong and they are evil, and they will be destroyed by that power, is the narrative they are preaching to us in television, on every single superhero movie, and everything else, in every religious book. Like, no, we are here to learn how to become better beings. We are supposed to strive to be God-like. The term Christian, the definition of Christian, is someone who strives to become Christ-like. Okay, what did Christ do? He performed miracles. He performed magic. He raised the dead. He made the blind man see. He spoke out against tyranny, authority, slavery, and government. All right. So therefore, by being a black magician who does those things, I am more of a Christian than anybody sitting in church by definition of what a Christian is. But I'm labeled an evil Satanist. It makes no sense to me. Everything's backwards.
It is. It's a control thing. That's what it boils down to. And keep people separate, keep them hating each other. You always have control.
Yeah. Exactly. Divide and conquer. It's right out of Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Okay, so let's move on a little bit. And this actually made me laugh. And I'm going to quote you on something here that I saw on your channel.
Okay.
So, how did you get started in the occult? And I asked this because you said something like, where is it here? I have my notes, people, and I have terrible handwriting. Look at that. I don't know if you can see it or not, but my handwriting is god awful.
Yeah, I might be able to read that if I had a decoder.
Where is it? Because I love this quote, and I was laughing so hard. No, here it is. Okay. So this is a quote from JS, guys. You said that you were from the hills of North Georgia, and you were born into a white trash, sister effing hillbilly family. So, how the heck did you get here now where you are?
Yeah, I said that. And dude, that's pretty true. I might have been exaggerating just a little bit. My grandparents on my mother's side will swear that there's no inbreeding in our family tree. They're like, no, that was really prevalent here back in the day, but we didn't do it. I'm like, bullshit. I've seen some of my cousins with elongated foreheads and ears poking out, and I'm pretty goddamn sure there's some inbreeders in our family tree. But anyway, dude. My mother's from the South here, and, that's her family I'm making fun of. And my father is from the northern side. And, his family is very obviously not inbred by meeting them. And so, the inbred gene seems to skip a generation or at least skip a lineage. So my younger brother got all of the inbred genes, and I got all of the normal northern combination of genes. But I pick on my younger brother all the time. It's true because it's funny, but it's funny because it's true. But no. What I was trying to get out there is it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter if you come from, a hillbilly inbred family, that comes from nothing in the deep South. It doesn't matter what country you're from. It doesn't matter what you're born into. If you can discover your own personal power through these black arts, as they're called, through these ritual magic practices, the art of discovering our own potential and striving for personal godhood, then you can overcome whatever situation you've come from. You can overcome your roots. You can overcome your inbred DNA, whatever it is that is holding you back, the chains that you are born into. These entities and these practices will show you how to break from those chains and break that cycle of servitude and poverty and whatever else you were born into. Like, you don't have to stay in the class that you were born into. You can take control of your reality through these ritual magic practices and form your reality into anything you want. And that's what I was really trying to get across in that video, because I absolutely should not be where I'm sitting at compared to the shit I was born into.
Yeah, it's a changing of your own fate.
Yeah.
And not accepting it. You know, for the longest time, I always felt that you can't change your fate and it's just predestined. It's going to happen. But, you know, after meeting certain people and learning different things, yeah, I'm now more of a believer. You definitely can change the path that you're on. Not necessarily easy, but you definitely can do it. And I do want to talk about this because I do tarot, and one of the most the most requested thing I get asked to do a reading on is love. It's terribly annoying at times.
Yep.
But this is where I'm going. I saw on your channel, and you guys definitely should check out JS Garrett YouTube channel. I can't remember if I put the link in the description or not. I hope I did forward thinking and did that. But I saw you speaking about a love spell, and this is going to lead to a couple of things. And it's not necessarily about a love spell. It's more about common sense. And that's what it seemed like you were talking about, how you actually have to have a little bit of common sense and do some of the work, move a little bit forward so you can actually empower the spell. And it doesn't necessarily just mean love, but anything for it to happen, for it to come to take a few steps so it can take a few steps.
Yeah.
And in that particular video, you mentioned how, you know, it's like, what are you doing to find love yourself? You know, are you just in your mom's basement, not showering, and just hoping some hot chick shows up or something? Or, yeah, I'm totally a dude.
Yeah.
Or, you know, are you going out? Are you cleaning up your appearance? Are you saying hello? You know, what are you doing? And it really got me to thinking that when it comes to doing spell work, yeah, you do have to put something out there, some type of effort, so it can manifest. So the universe can see, like, oh, this guy's actually trying. He's not just has his hand out for no reason. And is that something that you want to instill into people who does spell work, that effort is still needed even after you do the spell, you know, to just take one or two steps yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. What I was really trying to get across in that video is that the physical has to match the metaphysical. All right. And you know, love magic aside, like if you do a spell to help you get a job, but you don't go out and apply for any jobs, how are you going to get a job? You know, like if you do a ritual, a love magic ritual to help you find the perfect girlfriend or boyfriend, but you just hang out in your mom's basement eating Cheetos, watching reruns, and you don't take a bath, do you really think your dream girl is going to come knock on your mama's basement and drop to her knees and offer herself to you? No, it's never going to happen. Magic is something that we can use to create opportunities for ourselves that we can then capitalize on in order to get what we want. You have to put forth the physical effort in order to help that manifest. And more importantly, if the spirits you're calling on don't respect you, they're not going to help you. So if they don't see that you are actively working towards this goal, that you are summoning them and asking them to help you accomplish, then they're not going to do anything for you. And so, I mean, it's common sense in spell work. You know, you have to put forth an effort on every front to accomplish something. If I'm utilizing magic to try to help me accomplish something that I have not been able to accomplish on my own, it's because I'm already doing everything in my power on the physical plane to make this happen, and it's not happening. So now I need a little bit of help from the spirit world. So I'm going to do some ritual magic. I'm going to cast a spell to create the opportunity that I can then capitalize on in the physical realm to bring me what I want. All right, and so you can do a love magic spell all you want. If you never leave your mom's basement, then you're never going to meet any girls or boys or whatever you're after. And you can do a money magic spell, but if you're not doing anything to make money, then how are you going to get that money? I mean, yeah, you could get lucky and hit the lottery, but if you're not even playing the lottery, then how are you going to get any money? Like, it just, the physical has to match the metaphysical. You have to put forth the same amount of effort on your end as you're asking the spirits to put forth on their end. And if you are willing to put forth that effort, then they are more than willing to meet you halfway, if not more. That's what I was really trying to get across.
Okay. Oh, don't worry. It got across. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Now, because I am into self-promotion, I am going to tell everyone, please go to Unexplained Possibilities Instagram and check out the sigil I made, money sigil, and be sure to use it, mostly to give me energy for it, because I want to steal it from you, so I can get money. Thank you, guys. So, actually, that is something I did. I'm going to use myself as an example here. I came up with my own sigil, first time I ever done something like that, and I plan to redo it and make it better and cleaner, but I use the words I claim and I obtain, as well as I have, I grab, something like that. Anyway, it was words of power, basically meaning that you own and it's yours already. And after doing that, I started to do tarot readings. And all of a sudden, I actually have a small clientele now, which is crazy for me. So the stuff actually works. And yes, you do have to put in some effort, but you will be rewarded for your effort. And even if you don't believe in spirits being around you, you're definitely putting out some type of energy to the universe. And it will accept it, and it will push it back to you.
Yeah.
So,
it's like enhancing the law of attraction. So you do a ritual magic spell to help you make money, and that comes to you in the form of people booking you for tarot readings. You still have to do the tarot readings for those people in order to get paid. So you still have to do the physical work in order to make that money. You used magic to create the opportunity to make money, and that's how it works.
And this is going to take us to your ritual work. And like you said, this is your life. This is not, like I said at the top of the show, this is not some Mickey Mouse hocus pocus mess. This is real, and it is your life. And what I want to know to start off is, how long does it take to do a ritual and prepare and get it going?
Okay, well, I mean, that really depends on what type of ritual it is. If it's like a big sacrificial rite, which is what I mostly get booked to do, then it takes me all day preparing for it, and several hours to actually perform the rite. So, I mean, if you book me for a rite of deification, then I'm going to be out there laying out a 30-foot circle in cornmeal. I'm going to be splitting firewood and setting up the ritual space for hours before I actually light the fire and begin the evocations and conjurations. And, a sacrificial rite, it can take me anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to perform that once I light the fire. So it's an all evening ordeal for me. It takes a lot of work. What I'm doing is very simple. Okay. The mechanics of how it works is very simple. For a sacrificial rite, say for wealth, I am summoning a spirit that specializes in wealth and prestige. I'm making a petition on my client's behalf, and then I'm offering them a blood sacrifice in exchange for what I'm asking for. So you don't owe them anything in return. I'm paying for it right then and there with the blood sacrifice. I'm giving that spirit the energy and the power to take that energy and power and manifest what my client needs in their physical reality. All right. So, I mean, it's the mechanics are simple. It's a lot of physical work. And that's why nobody else does it. I don't know anybody else that offers these type of rituals. And that's why I stay so busy. Because most practitioners, you pay them however much you pay them, couple $100, couple $1,000, and they're going to light some candles and some incense. They're going to read from some books. They're going to chant some gooble gobble, and then they're going to blow out the candles and tell you they did something. Okay, and maybe something happens, maybe it doesn't. Normally it doesn't. But if you're actually evoking a real entity and feeding them a blood sacrifice in exchange for something, then you're going to get results. And I do get results. And that's why 95% of the people who have ever hired me have came back and hired me a second, third, and seventh time to do other work for them, because this is what generates the most power. It's what I have used to change my life. It's what I get results with, and that's what I do for other people. And another reason why people book me is because most people cannot perform an elaborate sacrificial rite in their backyard because they live in populated areas. They live in the city. You're not going to get away with hacking the heads off roosters in New York City in your front or backyard. It's not going to happen. You're going to end up with the police knocking at your door every fucking time. So, I mean, I've tailored my entire life around this practice. I've purchased a home out in the middle of the wilderness with no neighbors and lots of property where I can perform these rituals for people in privacy. And I also put forth a lot of time and effort raising chickens, taking care of sacrifices, splitting, cutting, buying firewood and implements like that. It's a lot of physical work, but it's very simple what I'm doing in the mechanics of how it works. So, I mean, that's why I love it so much.
I'm happy you mentioned these sacrifices. So let's talk about that for a second. And
Okay.
I know for a fact it's frowned upon, and I can't say I'm a person who would go out and do something like it. And I'm sure you've heard of other people trying to do it and probably not doing it right. Because I do know of one horror story. I don't know if it's true or not. Not going to mention names, but I'm assuming you are as respectful and as humane as possible when you are sacrificing an animal for a ritual.
Yeah, absolutely. The sacrifices are basically worshipped up until the point that they are sacrificed. They are fed well, they are treated well. I spend time with them. I love them. And it hurts me every time I do it. And that is the nature of sacrifice. If you're just nonchalantly out there killing shit, then that's not good. Time needs to be spent with that animal. You need to build a relationship with that animal. It needs to be difficult for you to sacrifice that animal. And it should absolutely always be done in the most humane way possible, which is usually decapitation. That's the quickest, most humane way to do it. But, it's not merely a symbolic gesture. Whenever you sacrifice an animal in the ritual circle, at the point of decapitation, when the life force leaves the body, it is like an explosion of that life force leaving the body at the time of sacrifice. And then that energy is contained inside of that ritual circle. And then it is absorbed by the entity that you are hosting inside that circle. And then the blood is spilled into the fire. The flesh is placed into the fire, and the fire transmutes the energy from the blood and the flesh into a form of energy that can be fully absorbed by the entity you are sacrificing to. So no part of that animal is wasted. It is all converted into energy that can be absorbed by the spirit, which is raw spiritual power. And then they take that power not only does it make the entity you're sacrificing to even stronger, but you're giving them a power source to take and manifest what you're asking in the physical world. So it's an all-around win-win. It's the most effective magic I've discovered so far. It's the oldest form of magic practiced on this planet. Everything from the Old Testament to the Egyptians, the Mayans. I mean, in Africa and Haiti and South America, they are still very much practicing animal sacrifice as well as human sacrifice in some countries to this day. And there's a very valid reason behind that, because it's a scientific thing that is taking place. It is the exchange of energy. It's the transmutation of energy, and it's the direction of how that energy is focused to create action at a distance.
Okay. So really, though, the big thing I wanted to get out of this, more so than anything, was the fact that you're not some prick who just goes around, gets some random chicken or deer, whatever, and kills it. That's one.
No.
Because I do have listeners. They're vegan and animal activists in their own right, and I do want them to know that no, you care. You're not some dark-hearted individual. And
No.
And the second part was, and you explained it perfectly, was hearing how the energy is used and nothing goes to waste, and how it does. I guess it wouldn't be a sacrifice if it didn't hurt, if you didn't have that connection, like you said. And it's interesting that the spirit can take that energy to help manifest and bring into reality. And is this part of the rite of, oh, here we go, this word again.
Deification.
Say it again.
The rite of deification?
Deification, thank you, yes.
Yes. Okay, so I actually hatch these chickens. I put the eggs in an incubator, and it sits in my house until these eggs hatch. And then I play with these little chickens. I give them names. I spend time with them. I feed them out of the palm of my hand. I raise them over a period of 16 to 20 weeks until they are full grown and they are fat and happy and well taken care of. And then I sacrifice them in these rituals.
Okay.
And yeah, it's not easy. And it's not supposed to be easy. That's why it's called sacrifice. And what I'm doing is 1,000 times more humane than what is taking place in these slaughterhouses that provide the meat you buy in the grocery store. And you can say, okay, well, I'm vegan. All right, well, that's cool. That's cool if you're vegan. But you know what? Plant lives are just as important as animal lives and human lives. Plants have souls. Plants respond to human stimuli interaction. And if you're opposed to sacrificing animals, then you could also sacrifice green living plants into the fire. You could go out into the woods and pick and harvest plants and roots that have the same metaphysical properties that are associated with the same metaphysical properties that you are working with in that black magic spell, and offer those to the spirit into the fire as well. I will say that you generate a lot more energy from an animal sacrifice, but I have had a few clients that were completely opposed to it that still wanted to experience this. So they give me a list of plants that they wanted me to offer into the fire as a sacrifice to them while they were still green. It's called green blood. And there was a profound effect from those rituals as well. I will say it's not as powerful, but if you are absolutely 100% opposed to animal sacrifice, then you can utilize green vegetation, plants that resonate at the same frequency of the operation you're trying to perform.
You just taught me something completely new. I had no idea such a thing exists. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah. You can. And I still utilize green plants in my sacrificial rites as well. When I evoke Astarte, I offer her fresh green flowers into the fire. If I was doing a baneful ritual, I'll go outside with my 1022 and shoot mistletoe out of an oak tree and pick poison ivy and nightshade or hemlock bushes, hemlock plants that are green, and offer those into the fire for their poisonous properties. So yeah. I mean, it's if you were doing a healing ritual, then you could take green echinacea and peppermint plants and things like that and offer them into the fire to get an enhanced effect. I'll say that there is no substitute for an animal sacrifice, but you get a very profound effect from vegetation as well.
Okay. So that's really good to know. Like, again, brand new information for me. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem.
So you mentioned frequencies, and this is going to bring us to oh, Melvin, come on. Radionics. There we go. And off air, I said that I'm not too familiar with radionics, but when I initially started to research and try and understand, it is essentially finding the right vibration or frequency of the universe or what it is that you desire, and almost like you're putting out what you want and the machine is enhancing that and hitting the right notes to bring it into this reality. Is that somewhat accurate thing to say?
No, that's very accurate. That's exactly how it works.
Okay.
The radionics machine is an extension of the sorcerer. It's an extension of the person using it. So let's say you wanted to use it to pull energy into yourself. I've actually got a box right behind me.
Okay.
Let me unplug this so I can show this to you guys. All right, this is the Wish Machine 2.0. I sell it on my website, jsgarrett.com.
Link in the description.
And this is a pretty universal radionics machine. All right, so this right here is the input plate, and this is the output plate. All right, so if I wanted to pull energy from a person or from an animal into myself to help me heal or become stronger or to give me energy to utilize in some other type of operation, then I would take a picture of, say, a horse. That's a very strong, powerful animal. Take a picture of the horse and put it on the input plate, and then take a picture of myself and put it on the output plate. All right, I'm stating my intention as I'm programming this box. All right, and then I'm going to set the dials. These are frequency dials from 0 to 100. I'm going to dial into the frequency of myself, and I'm going to dial into the frequency of the thing that I'm pulling energy from into myself. Once I set these frequencies and turn the box on, then it is steadily broadcasting what I have set the box to do into reality. So it is steadily siphoning energy from that horse into myself, giving me more physical energy. All right, that's one way you can use this. If you wanted to manifest more money in your life, then you could take a $1 bill. $1 bill has one of the most powerful occult symbols in the world on it, the most recognizable symbol, the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. All right, so you take that $1 bill and you'd put it here on the input plate. Then you take a picture of yourself and put it on the output plate. You would dial into the frequency of the money, and you would dial into the frequency of yourself, drawing the essence of money to yourself, helping you manifest more money in your life. That's why they call this a wish machine. You could do the same thing with a new car or whatever it is you're trying to manifest. And you can also use it for baneful purposes. All right. So if you wanted to harm an enemy, you would take the picture of your enemy and put it on the output plate. And then you would take like some black mold or some poisonous mushrooms or some poison ivy or a picture of a person with Ebola or something jacked up like that and put it on the input plate. You dial into the frequency of the painful substance, and then you dial it into the frequency of the person, and it would constantly be pulling that baneful energy into that person, making them sick. So, I mean, it's pretty cool how this works. It's a way to amplify what you're doing. So when you combine this with magic, with a ritual magic practice, you would set the box and perform your ritual on the box, and then leave it turned on and let it run. And it's like you are steadily sitting there performing that ritual 24/7. So it's broadcasting your will and desire with the correct frequencies into this holographic reality in order to manifest your desire in this holographic reality. I hope I explained that well.
I think so, but I do have a couple of follow-ups here. One,
Okay.
when you're talking about maybe sending some bad mojo in a person you don't really care for's way, are you speaking from experience?
Oh yeah, yeah. Mostly I work to heal people. That's what I like to do. That's what gives me joy. All right, to work on a sick person and have them be all better when I'm done. That makes me happy. It makes me feel accomplished. I feel good about that at night when I go to sleep. All right, but in the event that I have an antagonistic person that is trying to destroy my life in every way possible, and I cannot reason with that person and they will not stop, then yeah, that is a situation where baneful magic is a necessity. It is necessary to neutralize that threat, to stop your enemy from destroying you or someone that you love. Yeah. So yeah, there have been a few occasions where I've had to do this in order to put a stop to something, and it's been very effective. As far as doing that for other people, I don't offer baneful services to the public, because if I do a curse on somebody, it's going to be very bad. It works. There's no denying that it works, and people can die from this or suffer a fate worse than death. And I do not want to get hired to curse somebody's ex-girlfriend or somebody's ex-boyfriend, or your neighbor pissed you off because they built a fence on your property and now you want to curse them. I don't do shit like that. But once in a while, somebody will contact me and say, hey, this person raped my kid and they got away with it. Or they raped my kid and they only got sentenced to 5 years in prison. They'll be out in 2. I'm not satisfied with this. What can we do? I'm like, you know what? This is something that my conscience is completely clean and working on. Okay. And I have no trouble internally with myself and doling out some extra punishment to a sex offender or someone like that. So yeah, it's a case-by-case basis that I take these on, but I do teach people how to do this themselves through video courses and free videos that I put out on YouTube. So yeah, it's a way to, it's a martial art. Magic is a martial art, and you have to know how to defend yourself. So it's important.
Well, sometimes people need to get slapped. So
yeah, exactly. It's important to know how to do these things to defend yourself and your loved ones. Doesn't mean you have to use it. Just because you own a gun doesn't mean you have to shoot somebody, but you have that weapon in your arsenal in case you do have to use it. And that's the point, that you're capable of doing it if you need to.
Okay. And the other thing is, how does one find the frequency? How do you know you found it?
All right, cool. So that's another good question. All right, so this output plate is also the stick plate. So what you'll do, this is a type of dowsing. If most of you watching probably know what dowsing is. I'm going to try to hold this up to where you can see it here.
Yeah, you're good.
So what you will do is, while you're turning these dials, you will move one of your fingers. Hold on, I'm doing this backwards here. You'll move your finger in a circular motion or in a back and forth motion along the stick plate while you're turning the dial. All right. And now whenever you hit the correct frequency, your finger will stick to the plate. It's like an energetic sensation. You're moving your finger back and forth and boom, it sticks. That's when you stop turning the dial. That's when you know you've hit the correct frequency. And so you'll do that with each one of these dials. As you're moving your finger and turning the dial, boom, it'll stick. And that's how you know that you've got that knob in the right place. So it's kind of like using a pendulum. It's kind of like dowsing. There is an electronic aspect to this here. There is an electronic coil underneath this plate that creates some type of electrical frequency whenever you hit the right frequency, and that's what causes your finger to stick. And so that's how you dial in the machine and focus the machine on the right frequency.
Okay.
All right.
That makes sense to me. So, and it's a good way of doing it. Once it sticks, you know you got it. Now psionics. Okay. So I'm a little bit more knowledgeable with psionics, and I think it was you and Uncle Chucky. Is that his name?
Yes.
And you were going.
Carlos Quasimodo, he is the father of psionic warfare. Like, that is one scary dude.
Um, with the psionics, now I do think it's a bit more, for lack of a better word, brain power. And if you think it, you can create it. Essentially,
Yeah.
with psionics. And the cool thing is, he's developed the psionic helmet, and it
Yeah.
works with the radionics machine. So it's a quadruple amplification, and it reminds me of Cerebro from X-Men, actually.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Somebody else was saying that the other day. I took a picture of me wearing one of these helmets you were just talking about, and they were just like, "Oh, Professor X." I'm like, "Yes, evil Professor X, right here." So yeah, I've got one of these helmets in the next room. I can go grab it if you want me to show it to
Oh
you
yeah,
guys.
that would be, if you don't mind, that
Oh,
would be
okay, yeah.
awesome.
Give me 1 second. I'll grab it. Here.
All right, so you guys are stuck with me for a minute. So, hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my little girl. I'm singing show tunes for you, even though I'm so tone deaf. Uh-oh. Sweet Pea just
All
looked
right,
up.
I'm back. I'm
All right,
back.
welcome back. I was just singing some show tunes in my off-key voice. So.
All right, cool. So I'm going to try to do this where everybody can see it here. So this is the psionic helmet. It's got 3 dials on the front, and it's got wires and crystals and everything else built into it, along with a 9-volt battery back here. And so what you'll do is you'll take this wire and you'll plug it into your radionics box. I don't think you get, I'm trying to get it to where you can see it here. So let's say you're doing a money manifestation ritual. You've put a $1 bill on the input plate. You've put your picture on the output plate, which is pulling the essence of money into your life. And you've already set your dials. And so then you take and plug your helmet into the output plate. All right. Then you're going to put your helmet on. And I have not adjusted this one to fit me super good yet because I just got it. All right. So now my helmet is plugged in. Okay. Trying to get it straight here. And so what you will do is you will sit here and tune these dials using the same method, using the stick plate until you hit the right frequency. Boom, you get a stick. You move to the next dial. Boom, you get a stick. Move to the next dial. Boom, you get another stick. Now your helmet is set to the same frequency that you have set this box to. And so then all you're going to do is sit here and focus your energy like a meditation and visualize yourself holding a pile of money in your lap until it feels real. This is a way to tune and sync up your brain frequency into this box. So it's becoming even more of a part of you, and you are broadcasting that in an even more powerful way into the matrix in order to manifest what you want. So it's like a way to enhance this operation using this helmet. And of course, you can do that with a baneful operation as well. If you had some poisonous implements on here with an enemy's picture, you dial into your frequency. And I would sit here and visualize standing over their casket at their funeral. You know, it takes your mental images, your wills and desires, feeds them into this box and broadcasts them into reality. And so after you set the helmet and done your meditation, I would leave the helmet plugged in to the box and leave the box turned on. So then it is like you are sitting here 24/7 as long as this box is turned on and broadcasting your will and desire into reality. So this is really a way to amplify and enhance the law of attraction, as well as a way to hack into the matrix, hack into this holographic reality, because science has proven at this point that we're in a hologram we are in a computer program. This life we're living is a fucking video game. And these are tools and methods that you can use like cheat codes to hack into that video game. And that's really all we're doing. That's a simple way to put it.
Yeah. Please use it responsibly, people.
Yeah, you got to use it responsibly now, because, like, somebody asked me the other day, like, hey, man, don't you feel like you're passing out assault rifles to children? I'm like, yeah, kind of. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm passing out metaphysical assault rifles to anybody who has the will and the fortitude to pick them up and use them to better themselves. And I have to trust people to use it in a mature way, but who am I to judge what is the right way or wrong way to use something? That is up to each person themselves. Right and wrong is a matter of opinion and perception, and my idea of what's right or wrong is probably different than yours and different than everybody else's watching. So ultimately, we are the judges of that. And if you misuse this stuff, then it may or may not come back to bite you in the ass. But I would think that most people would want to use this to benefit themselves and benefit their loved ones. And if you have to use it to stop an enemy from destroying you, it's very effective. And that gives everybody a one leg up against the bullies out there that want to target good people.
Okay. And let's go to the master key. Firstly, what is the master key?
Okay, so the master key, first of all, this is the master key. It's actually tattooed on my chest. That's how serious I am about this. I went out and got it tattooed on my chest. So this was given to me by Shimyaza after a ritual that I performed on the eclipse, the solar eclipse that we had a few years ago. I actually drew this on my, no. I drew this shortly after the ritual, but during the ritual, I actually covered myself in blood and offered myself as a living sacrifice to this entity to undergo a type of permanent possession, I guess is a way to put it. And so shortly after this, I was given this sigil. I was actually in the shower washing the blood off of my body. And when I stepped out of the shower, it was like a bolt of lightning went off in my eyeballs. And this sigil was burned into my retinas. Like I saw it clear as day. And I turned around and picked up a marker and drew it on the mirror. And, I thought originally when I received it, I thought this was the sigil of Shimyaza. And so I started experimenting with it as the sigil of Shimyaza. And, he absolutely does come through the sigil. But what I started to learn through working with it is that it opens a doorway to the realm of these watcher entities. And you can actually summon any of them through this seal. And which is very helpful because we only know about 18 to 20 of their names. We know there was 200 of them according to the book of Enoch, but their names have been lost to time. And so that's one use for it. The other, the main thing that it does, it's like a universal sigil of power that harnesses the power of the person using it and amplifies that power, as well as opens a door to some spiritual realm to call forth the spirits and the power necessary to create that action at a distance. So it's really the closest thing to a universal magical tool that I've ever discovered. And it's by far the most valuable thing the spirits have ever shared with me. And so you can use this seal in any type of magical operation to amplify the power of that operation, as well as to call forth the spirits that can help you with that particular operation, even if you don't know their names. You just call forth, you open the key and ask for the spirit that can best help you with that to come through. It's like it opens a gateway to another world. And it's also a protection seal. I mean, it represents strength, power, knowledge, protection, attack in every direction. And so anyone who is wearing this seal, I sell them on amulets, I sell them on t-shirts. You can get it tattooed on yourself like I have. You can draw it on a piece of paper and carry it on your person for protection. It protects you against physical harm, spiritual harm, magical harm. And the other really cool thing that it does is it transfers energy from one place to another or from one person to another. So if I draw this sigil out and I trace over it in blood, and then I take a little picture of you and stick it to that sigil in the center, stick it to my blood, and then speak your name 3 times to connect with you through that sigil, and then burn that sigil, then it will transfer all of the energy from my blood essence directly into you, fueled with my intention, whether it's to heal you or to harm you. So it's very universal in how you can use it like that. And I can also say, if I want to draw power from somewhere, like there's a waterfall that I like to go to do my rituals. It's a really beautiful place out in the middle of nature. It's like this double waterfall, and there's like, you can just feel it. There's a lot of energy there. So what I did was I went and I tagged the sigil on a rock at the base of the waterfall. I charged it and opened it, and then I came home and did the same thing, made the sigil inside my circle and attempted to connect with that spot to see if I could pull energy from that spot into my ritual practices. And it absolutely worked as far as I'm concerned, and it still does to this day. So, I mean, it's really something that you can use for anything. I've used it in love magic. I've used it in baneful magic. I've used it in healing magic. And I've used it simply to empower any type of operation that I was doing. I laid out a deification circle, and I made the master key in salt in the center of that. And I that stayed there for a couple of weeks until it rained and washed it away. And I did several rituals inside that circle during that time, opening the master key each time before I did it, and asking for the spirits of the watchers that could help me with that operation to come through and empower that ritual. And I got phenomenal results from each one of those rites that I did. And I've also heard back from just about everyone who's purchased one of these amulets or drawn it and experimented with it. And people's minds are blown by this. So, I mean, I'm the first one to be a skeptic. I'm a skeptic before anything else, especially when it comes to magic. I'm not going to buy any bullshit that somebody's selling. So do not take my word for it. Draw this out and experiment with it. Use it like a sigil. Only use it for whatever operation you're trying to do. And the way you do that is to draw the sigil. You vibrate the name Shimyaza 3 times while you're staring into the sigil in order to open it, and then you state your intention. And I always recommend putting blood on the sigil, because you're feeding power into that is then directed towards whatever you're trying to do at a distance, whatever action at a distance you're trying to create. And then burn that sigil and see if it happens. I guarantee you are not going to be disappointed.
Okay. And can you also use it with radionics, with the radionics machine?
Absolutely.
So,
I've actually used it in several radionics operations, not only for protection but for healing as well. I had a friend who was dying of an infection. Antibiotics were not helping him. He was non-responsive. The hospital was telling us to make preparations. And this has actually happened more than once, where I've taken that master key and I've put it on the input plate of my radionics box, and I've put a drop of my blood onto it, and then I put a picture of the sick person on the output plate, dialed into both frequencies, and then sat there and vibrated the name of Shimyaza and performed an evocation of Shimyaza and the watchers while I was staring at that seal on top of that radionics box, and simply asked for them to be healed. And then I leave the machine on after I've said it. And each time they recovered at rapid rates. So, I think you can use it for just about anything.
okay. We're going to start wrapping it up, and just a few things, little things. But on JS Garrett, your YouTube channel, It's home to beer, boobs, and black magic. Who came up with that?
Oh God, I think it was actually me and Barbie both. We were talking about wanting to do a podcast together, like a live stream each week, and she was like, what should we call it? And I'm like, well, I'm going to be drinking some beer, and you're going to be having some boobs, and we're going to be talking about black magic. And we both kind of just said it at the same time. Let's call it beer, boobs, and black magic. So you have multiple reasons to watch. I'm very funny and witty and knowledgeable, and she's very beautiful and intelligent and very nice to look at. So yeah, we bring a little bit of humor, we bring a little bit of fun, and we talk about some pretty cool topics and try to lay down some knowledge while we're at it. So it's an all around entertaining show that is fun to watch without the sound on, if nothing else, because Barbie's always in all her glory there. I'm totally exploiting her. Not gonna lie, boobs make everything better. If you got them, you might as well flaunt them. I don't, but she does, so we're gonna flaunt them. And yeah, we're just having fun, man. We're just kicking back, being ourselves. We're the exact same people in person as we are on YouTube, and it's a way for us to put out content that's entertaining as well as useful.
Okay. I caught a few episodes, so it was very enjoyable. You're both very charming. So
Thank you, thank
so
you.
yeah, I will be going back again. I have to try and catch you live though. That's where I struggle catching live. Um,
Yeah, tune in the chat, man. Say what's up. We'll give you a shout out. And yeah, that's really what we do. We get on, we answer people's questions because we get questions all day, every day.
yeah.
Dozens of emails every day with questions that are not like simple answers, and we don't have time to sit here and type answers to questions all day. So we try to like compile these questions each week and then get on and answer those on our live streams. And those who tune in the chat, they ask questions and we answer them as well. And then we put on whatever type of presentation that we have prepared that night, which is usually like a live ritual or something like that. So yeah, I mean, it's just something that we have fun with. It's fun to do, and it's a cool way to interact with people and answer questions and put out knowledge.
Okay. And this leads us to the final thing, and that is, what advice can you give to those who are interested in entering the field of metaphysics, the occult, spell weaving? What, from your experiences, what advice can you give them? They might be afraid to go all the way in, but they want to, but they need some advice.
Okay, so that's cool. All right, so the best advice, you just hit it right there. They're afraid to go all the way in. The best advice I could give them would be to dive in head first, embrace that fear, and chase after what you want wholeheartedly. Be all in. Don't dip your big toe in and test the waters. Dive into the deepest, blackest waters without a life vest and sink or swim. And if you drown, then you just weeded yourself out. But I guarantee you, if you jump in with that mentality, you're not going to drown. You might think you're going to drown for a little while, but you are eventually going to swim, and then you are going to fly. The second best advice I could give to people would be to, read some books like the Simon Necronomicon, things like that, Evoking Eternity, Constantinos, Evoking Spirits. These books give us a foundation of knowledge as far as how to make spirit contact, how metaphysics works, the do's and don'ts, because there are a few do's and don'ts. You want to build your foundation of knowledge, and then you want to toss the books aside, and you want to make contact with a spiritual entity and learn from them directly. And in order to do that, you have to embrace that fear, because it is scary. When you summon a spirit and you feel that thing grab a hold of you, at that moment when something grabs a hold of you and you realize, holy shit, this is real. This is something that is external from me. It could hurt me if it wanted to. It's not all in my head. That's a holy shit moment. And that is the moment that people either cut and run back to the church, or they go full force forward onto this path and become a full-blown magician. So you've got to embrace your fear. And if it's something you're scared of, then all the more reason to charge headfirst at it. We ultimately have the power on this physical plane as physical humans, as living gods in these physical bodies. We have all the power upon this physical plane. All right. And so you have to wield that power in order to become what you're trying to become as an adept sorcerer. And you don't get there by tiptoeing around this. You don't get there by being afraid. And you don't get there by listening to other people. Okay. Other people can teach you things. I can teach you things. Other people can teach you things. But don't listen to me and don't listen to other people. Don't look for us. Don't look at us like gurus. Don't look to us for all the answers. Don't look to the books for all the answers. Get a foundation and an understanding from the books and from the people like me that are putting this information out there. Take that information and then develop your own system. Make contact yourself with these ancient gods and then develop your own system of magical practice that works for you. Do not be afraid. Charge at it head first.
Okay. And speaking of books, Angie actually just has a quick question. Have you thought about writing your own book?
Yeah. Actually, I've actually been writing a book for a few years now. Um, it was about like 5 years ago I started doing ritual for hire, and somewhere between now and then I've gotten to where I'm booked out like 8 weeks in advance. So I am extremely busy, and I have not finished writing that book. So I have finished writing the book, but it's all written in hand. It's in like 10 different grimoires, and I've got to sit down, I've got to edit it and type it out and then publish it. And I just haven't finished it yet because I've been so busy, with like video courses and working with clients and things like that. And honestly, I've kind of put it on the back burner because I've discovered that only 3% of the population reads anymore. Okay, so the best way to reach people is through YouTube, through videos and things like that. Like, I'm going to reach a lot more people putting this information out, doing podcasts like we're doing right now, or how-to videos on YouTube than I'm ever going to reach writing a book. So I am going to eventually finish and publish this book. And that will be, the way I see it, I'm writing that for those who come after me. I'm writing this for the future me that incarnates 2 or 3 generations from now and picks up this book and picks up where I left off. I'm writing it for my kids to continue furthering my work. But as far as what I'm trying to do now, which is reach the masses and create more adept magicians, people who are capable of revolting against the system and standing on their own and squashing tyranny and slavery in our reality. Right now, video is the best way to do that. So that's what I've been focused on.
Okay. And if people want to contact you for your services or check out Beer Boobs and Black Magic, where can they go for all of that?
All right, cool. So if you want to hire me for something or just check out my services and the products that I offer, go to jsgarrett.com. That's my website. And JS Garrett YouTube channel. We do Beer Boobs and Black Magic every Friday night. I think we start at like 9 p.m. Eastern time here in the U.S. And those are live streams. You guys can interact with us on there. And I'm always dropping new videos on a daily basis, how-to videos, demonstrating how to do spell works. They're videos that you can sit there and do the spell along with me, so it doesn't matter how adept you are, how experienced you are. If it's your first time doing a ritual, you can sit there right across from me on the video and do it yourself, and I'll be doing it along with you. Just watch the video and follow the instructions.
Right on. You actually just put something up recently about protection too.
Yeah.
That you were doing with people. So definitely, guys, check that out. Those links are in the description. And if I'm not lazy and I edit everything, it'll still be in the description. And while at it, I do want to remember this. I have to make special note here. You guys, Angie, who's in chat right now, hi Angie, she has started her journey into the occult, and she is making magic oils and candles, and honestly, they're really good. And this isn't me just trying to fluff her up or nothing. she actually has a talent for it and crafting. Look, she made these. This is my little pendulum board, handmade by her.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And because I love the Evil Dead, she actually made the Necronomicon.
That's cool.
So she has a talent when it comes to these type of things. So yes, if you're if if you're interested in love oils or oils for confidence, be sure to write to Unexplained Possibilities. What's her email? Unexplainedpossibilities@gmail.com. Ask her, and she will do it for you. And she'll even negotiate on the price, which is awesome. So you guys do that. And while at it, be sure to follow Unexplained Possibilities on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram. JS, thank you again for coming on. It was awesome. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, brother. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to be invited on, and I've had a blast just sitting here talking with you. So yeah, anytime you want to jump on and do another video, let me know.
Right on.
And I look forward to chatting with Angie in the future too. And if she wants to like send me some of these products, I'll be happy to test them out and do a review on them.
Oh, cool. Okay. So, Angie, you heard that. With that said, thank you all for watching. And remember, guys, there are things that go bump in the night. Go ahead and tell them hi. Bye, everybody.